This is the power of gathering. It inspires us delightfully to be more hopeful, more joyful, more thoughtful, in a word, more alive.
Please rise in body or in spirit for this morning's opening hymn. When the Spirit says, do.
You got to do when the Spirit says do. You got to do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you got to do, oh Lord. You got to do when the Spirit says do. You got to stand when the Spirit says dang. Oops. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you got to do, oh Lord. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. You got to dance when the Spirit says dance. You got to dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you got to dance, oh Lord. You got to dance when the Spirit says dance. You got to laugh when the Spirit says laugh. You got to laugh when the Spirit says laugh. When the Spirit says laugh, you got to laugh, oh Lord. You got to laugh when the Spirit says laugh. You got to shout when the Spirit says shout. You got to shout when the Spirit says shout. When the Spirit says shout, you got to say it, oh Lord. You got to shout when the Spirit.
Good morning. Is this all I get on Mardi Gras Sunday? Good morning. Thank you. Happy Mardi Gras. My name is Reverend Chris Long, the Minister of Congregational Life. Can you turn this down just a little, Mike, please? Today, we will honor Mardi Gras as a church, which has been the tradition of this church for many years. And we know that it's also true that some here would rather be anywhere else but here this time of year. Amen? Oh, good. Not so many here in this service, but in the next service they may be. So both things are true at once. Also, March 1st was also the start of this year's Women's History Month. With all that is going on, we must honor women for their historical and very contemporary contributions to this society and around the world. If you're visiting for the first time, good morning. Thank you for joining us here today. Please do come again to see if this may become your sacred community of hope. And do join members and friends of the congregation in our reception area that's just out here to the left for coffee and conversation. Good morning, folks that may not be in Louisiana or wherever they're celebrating Mardi Gras. I don't have any beads on today. Did you see the beads? Some of them are almost as long as me, but no matter where you are chiming in from on the live stream, please say hello in the chat and let us know that you are here. Today's announcements. Middle hour today. Do you remember what last week's first thing that I mentioned was? Psst. Who here remembers what psst is? What is it? Parents, support in tumultuous times. Are we in some tumultuous times, y'all? Somebody said amen. So yes, we are, and they're meeting in room 5 today. First, Faith and Exploration in room 6 will be our monthly meet and greet with the minister. Is there another minister here today? So who will you be meeting with? Ooh, I got some points in the sanctuary. Yes, during this time we come, if you're new to the church or to Unitarian Universalism, we come and chat. Even if you're not so new and would like to come and chat, room 6 is where we do the meet and greet. Faith in Action is room 7, where the sub-team, our social justice sub-team on education, there are many issues related to that election on March 29th. Do y'all know we're having a planned election with some pretty key issues that relate to our values on the ballot. So they'll be discussing ways that we can possibly get involved or stay involved and do our work to support the communities who are more impacted than we may be. As usual, at pre-K and K will be room 2, grades 1 through 5 will be in room 3, and our youth will gather in room 1. On Wednesday night of this week from 6 to 8 p.m., we will be hosting a fire pit gathering. Who here likes s'mores? What about the gourmet ones? They will be having gourmet s'mores and laughs and camaraderie. So please do come 6 to 8 p.m. We also are invited to iftar, which is the breaking of a day-long fast at the Islamic Center. Who knows that we have an Islamic Center? Is it over there? Somewhere over there. And with the iftar at the center, for 3 Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays at that center, they will be having on the 7th, 8th, and 9th, 14th, 15th, and 16th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, from 6 to 8:30 around. You're invited. They will share and breaking their fast, and you get to go through and see their evening prayers. It's a phenomenal learning opportunity. Whether you're Muslim or not, you're invited and welcomed and get to learn that. Let's see. Next, you are invited to use this last-minute opportunity to support your church and declutter at the same time. Who here needs to declutter? Almost a third of the sanctuary raised their hand, so I think I will need to too for other intentions and purposes. But on Saturday the 8th from 8 to 2 p.m., Terra Neighborhood Cell will be taking place. A church member on the boulevard has offered to host one of the garage sales. You can donate your items and or help with the sale or find out more by contacting Suzanne Bess, and her phone number will be circulated as well as her email. But contact Suzanne Bess to declutter and to maybe get some more clutter if you're interested. And finally, Mid-City Gras Parade that was to happen last Sunday, but what happened last Sunday? Did it ever rain? I am excited to share that it will be next Sunday. I think they've changed the name because Mardi Gras will be over, but they're still holding the event. Also, Kathy Smith mentioned that if you were scheduled to do some of the to-do and party events from last Sunday,
Or just come.
just come.
Really set up for people to come and celebrate with us.
Come and celebrate. We have a presence usually because our senior minister runs a crew in that parade. So I'm gonna go, and I got a swag bag. I told you about it last week. It is slightly understated gay. It is slightly understated. Very festive, ... So again, good morning and welcome. Happy Mardi Gras.
And by the way, what they renamed it to, I love it. Mardi Gras. Mardi Gras. So our lesson this morning is a picture book. It's titled I Am We, a Book of Community by Susan Verde with art by Peter H. Reynolds. And she writes, I know it is important to take care of me. Next slide, please, Mike. I know it is important to take care of me, to focus on my own breath, my own needs, to be kind to my mind. Sometimes I wonder, is that selfish? How does caring for me help anybody else? But then I realize the better I feel inside, the more I can be there for others, my friends, my family, my community, my cat. because I do not exist alone. I am part of something that is bigger than myself. And when we each take the goodness and self-compassion inside and turn it outward, that is how we make progress and change, how we build, create, learn, and share love. How we care for each other affects the world. I am more than me. I am we. When there are challenges and struggles, I can check on you, you can check on me. We can create a safety net so no one fails. When there is hurtfulness and inequity, we can stand up for each other. We can sit, gather, march, sing, vote, stronger in numbers, louder in voices, as we call for justice. When there are differences in thoughts and opinions, we can have a conversation, listening, disagreeing, and agreeing with gentleness, finding the right solution for all of us. When there is shyness and a feeling of not belonging, we can be the welcoming committee, interested and thoughtful, making sure there is a place for everyone. When there are problems to be solved with creativity, I can share my talents, you can share yours. We can combine our skills and ideas to dream up something spectacular. When there are good times, successes, and joys, we can celebrate, show our excitement, our pride, and encourage each other to keep on rising. Connection is how I grow. Connection is how we grow. Connected is what we all are, part of a worldwide community, diverse and magnificent, kind and accepting, supportive and present. All of us important, none of us alone. I am not just me, I am we. And if we put our heads and hearts together, if we keep on caring for ourselves and each other, everything is possible. Thank you.
The sharing of stones ritual here at the Unitarian Church of Baton Rouge is a time in our service where we take time to come forth to share stones as we honor the joys and sorrows of our lives with this community. Visitors are also always welcome to take part in this ritual. Those who gather are invited to sign cards for members of the congregation, also in our reception area at the congregational care team table. Today we have 2 stones of condolence to share with cards. Our first stone is for Julie Richard, whose daughter Penny Maldonado passed away unexpectedly this Wednesday. Penny, who many of you may remember as Martin because she transitioned mostly after her time here at the church, again passed away unexpectedly on Wednesday. Julie shared the details for Penny's celebration of life service have yet to be worked out. She would also like a little space to process this very difficult news. Our next stone of condolence is for Giselle Boudreau, whose mother, Joan Boudreau, died recently. Finally, Janet Sullivan, as many of you may know, is a member of the church and sadly had a horrible accident in New York City that required her to have surgery yesterday morning. The surgery was a success. She has requested extra thoughts and prayers and for us to hold her in the loving embrace of this community. Again, there's a card for her out in the reception area. Those who would like to take part in this ritual, please come forth lining on the east or west wall of the sanctuary, but if the center is easier for you, please take the center aisle. Online, please share your stones in our chat box. Our sharing of stones ritual begins. Let us say together our chalice lighting words. With hope to make this a better world, we light this. Its light is a symbol of the power of love.
From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung through every land by every tongue.
Mardi Gras is the love of life. It's the harmonic convergence of our food, our music, our creativity, our eccentricity, our neighborhoods, our joy of living, all at once.
Good morning. My name is Melanie Mayu, and I am a member of the Preacher Pack. When I was asked to do this service the Sunday before Mardi Gras, my first thought was, I don't like Mardi Gras. The crowds, the chaos, and honestly, people in costumes and masks kind of freak me out. But I know that Mardi Gras and its influence are impossible to ignore or dismiss. I have served on planning committees for several national conferences that were held in New Orleans and an opening ceremony that ends with the throwing of beads and a second line is almost mandatory. And I know that Mardi Gras is deeply loved and fervently celebrated by many in this congregation. So I thought I would give it a deeper look. I began by falling down several history of Mardi Gras rabbit holes and read about whether or not the first American Mardi Gras was held in New Orleans or Mobile, and learned that the first parade with floats was in 1857 by the crew of Comus that later disbanded rather than desegregate. But it was not until I thought about a friend from college that I found a possible in that could change my perspective on Mardi Gras. Diane was a Ninth Ward New Orleanian who believed Mardi Gras was the most important time of the year, a belief held by her entire family. Preparation started weeks in advance, and once parades started to roll, they would pack their carts with a stepladder, ice chests, grocery bags to hold the throws caught, folding chairs, put on sombreros, and go to the same corner year after year. And for weeks afterwards, they would talk of their adventures. But thinking back on the conversations that I heard, I realized the stories were not of floats or of the parades. Rather, they were of the people they were able to connect with, people they had formed deep relationship with, not based on regular or frequent connection, but rather by meeting year after year to celebrate Mardi Gras. These memories made me realize that an important meaning of Mardi Gras was not to be found on the floats and the spectacles of the parades, but rather in the yearly shared neighborhood gatherings on street corners, gatherings that form a deep and abiding community identity, pride, and connection. To explore this further, I reached out to a member of my branches group who is, like Diane, deeply rooted in her love and celebration of Mardi Gras. On a chilly Sunday morning, I met Mem Arteski for coffee to talk about it. Early on in the conversation, I realized just how connected she is. She, her late husband Skip, and her in-laws, with a ride around the neighborhood in a golf cart, started the South Downs Parade. She still plays a major role, serving as tri-captain of the crew of GLEAUX, G-L-E-A-U-X, of course, with our very own Ross and Heather Jonke. Mem takes care of the administrative functions, making sure everything comes together and they roll. And Heather and Ross coordinate the art aspect and the design of the float. I asked her about the community building of Mardi Gras, and she told me a story she thought illustrates it perfectly. In 2021, the South Downs Parade, as well as all other Mardi Gras parades, were canceled due to the COVID pandemic. On the night when the parade was supposed to roll, Mem sat alone in her house, feeling sad and very disconnected. Around 9 o'clock, she heard shouts outside calling, "Queen, Queen, Queen." Very curious, she went outside on her porch, and there in the streets were members of her crew, masked and socially distanced, with a few torchbearers carrying flambeaux. Through her tears, she soon saw other neighbors come into their yard, and an impromptu Mardi Gras celebration was shared. A celebration of resilience, of tradition, of community identity, and of caring. There were other stories of how crew members support each other in difficult times. When her husband was very ill and in the hospital, she would come home to find her yard tended, her house clean, and food prepared. When the parade is rolling, the event goes further than the parading floats. Houses along the route set up food and drinks to share, and one house is honored to welcome the Queen, which is Mem, for her inevitable necessary pit stop. So by the end of our conversation, my perspective of Mardi Gras was completely changed. And instead of an aversion to it, I felt an unexpected desire to participate. Although there is no doubt that the parades, floats, chaos, costumes, and crowds are part of it, as Mem said, it is also an intentional act to make community art. And whether or not you participate or are a spectator, it is a great show with community energy driving the whole.
Each month, with humility and gratitude, we share one half of our undesignated offerings with local organizations that are extending our mission and vision in the community. This month, our collected offering will be shared with Preach, presenting resources effectively applying Christ-like humbleness. That's the acronym. Preach is committed to improving the economic status of the least of these in our community. They do this by providing financial education and empowerment tools, partnering with community assets to bring education and awareness of predatory lending and other assets depleting challenges, and opening access to small and emerging businesses through free resource conferences. Visitors, please feel no obligation to give. We at this church are building on our financial giving as a spiritual practice, extending our values into the community in yet another way. This morning's offering will be humbly accepted and shared in the same spirit. Will the ushers please come forward? Each week, when we gather, we take pause to breathe as a sacred community, held together by our values, our commitments to each other, and to dance into the joys and sorrows of our lives. We do this through collective silence, meditation, or prayer. This morning's prayer. Spirit of life, universe, Gaia, God. As always, in our time for prayer together, we take pause to honor the Homa and Bayagula peoples whose lands we now inhabit. Friends, if you would, please take a few deep breaths. Even if anxious, tired, or afraid. With all that is going on, we must breathe. One more breath. We must continue to feel all of what we are feeling, especially now. Not sure if you have heard, but famine in the Sudan is continuing to hit epic proportions. Women, children, people are dying, and our mass media is hardly covering it. If you've been listening to what took place between the president of the Ukraine and our current president, we heard a moral call to action and courage in the face of what I must call lies. And we will rise up to support truth, justice, and love where it is found. Again, one of the many reasons we gather in this community is to feel together, to be together, and to know we are not alone. Let us continue to hold close to our hearts all that is going on within our church family, with recent deaths, hospitalizations, and new and lingering diagnoses. We are holding a lot, and together we can be present to, for, and with each other. Ashe, Shalom, Salam. Blessed be, may it be so, and Amen.
On the Olympic in Beyond a Boundary, 4,000 pilgrims would assemble, including the most distinguished members of Greek society. Plato and Pythagoras were always in the front seats. Socrates, Anaxagoras, Demosthenes, Pindar, Herodotus, even Diogenes came to the games. The barbarians could not understand why Greeks spent so much time and energy on what seemed to them childish pursuits. Lucian, in one of his dialogues, put the answer in the mouth of Solon, the famous political regenerator of Greece and the symbol of wisdom. To this day, Solon's answer is unsurpassed. You would have to be there, he tells the puzzled barbarian.
Before I start, I want to make it very clear that I am not calling non-sports lovers barbarians. When some of you heard that part of today's sermon was on sports, many of you may have had the same reaction I did when I began my exploration of Mardi Gras, but I don't like sports. And before I begin, let me make it very clear that I recognize there are dark aspects to sports, to organized sports. There is racism, misogyny, oftentimes combined. Just ask Angel Reese. Too much emphasis on winning, greed, threat of injury, and the list can go on. And I find all of these very troubling and things that must be addressed and things we must hold the organizers accountable for. But I hope I present you with an in that may allow you to see a different aspect to sports, and at the very least, understand why it can be so loved. You do not have to know me long to know that I am a major sports fan. With my sister and brother-in-law, I have season tickets to LSU women's basketball and gymnastics, and often go with them to baseball, men's basketball, volleyball, softball, you name it, games. Gonna go to beach volleyball this year. This time of the year, I am easily in the PMAC, Thursday and Sunday for women's basketball games. There is a game this afternoon. And Friday for gymnastics. When I travel for work, I always see what sports are being played during the time I am there. This love of LSU sports is a family tradition. As long as I can remember, the fall has been LSU football season, and no family event, no matter the importance, can be planned without checking the football schedule. One of my mother's sayings was, "There is no place like Tiger Stadium on a Saturday night." And until she was unable physically to do so, that is exactly where she was. When we were planning her funeral, we knew we had to honor her lifelong love of LSU. All of her pallbearers wore LSU ties. Family members wore something representative of LSU, me, an LSU scarf, and Hold That Tiger played as we left the church. She would have been greatly pleased. A shared love of sports is an important glue that bonds my family together and helps define our shared experiences. In addition to all of the LSU sporting events I go to with my sister and brother-in-law, my nephew, his wife, and my sister, and now their soon-to-be 2-year-old son, have gone to an Astros game for 5 years. This one is on the books. And all of my siblings share a group text during football games. Christmas and baby presents are most often LSU apparel. Bumper stickers are on our cars, and LSU flags are in our yards. When my nephew Colin, who was born with a great love for baseball, was around 4, my mother was babysitting. When she put him to bed, she asked if he wanted her to sing a lullaby. He said, "Yes, sing Take Me Out to the Ball Game." In preparing for this service, my exploration of Mardi Gras led me to take a deeper look at the reasons behind my love of sports. No doubt, a major part is the opportunity to watch the games or meets in order to experience moments of courage, skill, and greatness. Gymnast Aaliyah Finnegan's nearly flawless performance on a 4-inch beam, 4+ feet off the floor, with the weight of clinching her team's first national championship resting on her shoulders. Haley Bryant's 3 10s in a single meet, a long-range jumper to secure the come-from-behind victory, a 3-pointer from 40 feet from the basket, and a winning hit in the bottom of the 9th. So many. But like my discovery about Mardi Gras, I realized that my love of sports goes beyond the game. It is rooted in the power of the community, built on commonness of purpose, of pride, of shared hope and experience. And reminiscent of Mim's description of Mardi Gras, attending sports is an intentional community action that creates an energy that drives it forward. There is no doubt the impact this energy can have on a team. In an interview, Angel Reese said that hearing the cheers of the home crowd was worth at least 10 to 12 points. And when I asked Coach Kim Mulkey about that several weeks ago, she said the same thing. As season ticket holders, we go back to the same tickets and seats every year. And like Diane's family during Mardi Gras, we reconnect yearly with the people who sit around us. And this yearly reconnection creates surprising and lasting strong friendships. With the people who sit in front of us at basketball games, during the last 4 years, we have shared a daughter and sister's battle against cancer, celebrated the birth of grandchildren in our family as well as theirs, developed important good luck rituals with Lori, a full of life and joy special needs adult. I have on my lucky socks. We cheer together, high five a lot, and share, to use a cliche, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. My sister and brother-in-law and I have also developed a wide-reaching gymnastics community. We are members of the Booster Club, the Tiger Spotters, and like at basketball games, we have formed friendships that have spanned years. For the last 3 years, my sister and I have attended the NCAA National Gymnastics Championship. Last year, while standing in line for food at a booster event, we started talking to the two women in front of us. Come to find out, they are sisters and basketball season ticket holders and live just down the street from us. I know, right? We hung out the rest of the time and have been friends ever since. I could go on. I could tell you about the time my sister and brother-in-law took part in an impromptu party during a 2-hour baseball rain delay, how they sit behind the third generation of the Barker family at football games, and how Sugar, the woman who sits behind them, still talks about my mother, Miss Rose, and cannot bring herself to delete her number from her phone. So hopefully, I have made my case for why I love sports. It is much bigger than the game. I love sports because it connects me with my family and my family history. It gives me the opportunity to join with other people for common purpose, regardless of our backgrounds or beliefs. It gives me a sense of pride and of hope, especially at the beginning of every season. It lets me join my voice with others to create a collective energy so powerful that it can drive team performance. And most importantly, it has allowed me to form lasting friendships. Now, as I close this part of the service, please join me in singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game." Ready? Ready. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, and it's root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. And it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Please rise in body or spirit for our next hymn.
got to keep your heart wide open, though the waves want to push you around. You've got to keep your heart wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground. Keep your arms wide open, though the waves want to push you around. You've got to keep your arms wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground. You got to keep your eyes wide open, though the waves want to push you around. You've got to keep your eyes wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground. Got to keep your love wide open, though the waves want to push you around. You've got to keep your love wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground. Keep your heart wide open till the waves want to push you around. You've got to keep your heart wide open till your faith brings you back to solid ground.
When I started this, I really had no idea how I was going to conclude the service or how I was going to connect Mardi Gras sports and this church. But once I thought about it, the connection was obvious. The power that can come from living a shared community identity. Like Mardi Gras and sports, we come together with common purpose and ideals to intentionally join our individual energies and commitment to drive action. Like sports fans, we do not give up hope even in the face of strong opposition. We love to celebrate together, and we don't shy away from a good party. As I stated in the first section, there is a deep love of Mardi Gras in this congregation and many active participants. Betty, for example. We have talked about South Downs, but we also have members who are integral to the running of the Mardi Gras Mid-City Parade. Many of us ride in parades while others attend and support them. But I wonder what would happen if we spread this love even further here by forming our own crew and designing our own float. Think about the possibilities within the congregation and the larger community. For us, we could have a contest for members to suggest names of the crews. We could form a coordination committee, because of course we have to have a committee to develop the yearly theme and manage the details and design the floats. We could have art parties to decorate the float and create costumes. It would give us a chance to love, experience joy together, and just have fun. And for the larger community, we could use our participation to give us a wider and stronger community presence and identity. Then, in addition to being the church with a large circle window, we could be the church with a really cool float. There are also a lot of sports lovers in this community. I see you at games, and sports memorabilia and tickets are always highly sought after items at our auction. So again, I wonder what would happen if we used the power of sports to build a stronger community as a means to increase our membership and outreach. In his article, Increase Church Outreach, 3 Reasons to Use Sports Fields as Mission Fields, Eddie Becker writes, here is a larger than life number, 60 million. That's the number of kids aged 6 through 18 that participate in organized sports each year in America. 60 million young people spend evenings practicing and weekends at tournaments playing sports. 60 million of anything is an incredible number, but when you have 60 million young people with something in common, the ministry outreach isn't just a possibility, it's a harvest field demanding the church's attention. Should we give it our attention? Form youth teams? Sponsor youth teams? I bet there are wannabe coaches out there that would love the opportunity to coach a kids' team. And what about the adults? Building connections. And let us not overlook the income possibilities. There could be concessions sold at games, jerseys sold that we could wear our sports pride into the community. Hats, with no pun intended, it could be a game changer. But even if none of this happens, echoing the excellent sermon delivered several weeks ago by Canova Smith, what possibilities could open for us if we gave the same time, support, energy, and resources to this church that we do Mardi Gras and sports? According to an article in the New York Post, avid sports fans spend an average of $880 a year on tickets, apparel, and concessions. Think of the good we could accomplish if we committed to be an avid fan of this church and pledge the same amount here that we spend on sports or Mardi Gras. And what about time? In our article, how much time do U.S. fans devote to their teams over a lifetime? Olivia Richmond writes, life is short, a truth often overlooked. That's why it's so important to spend your time on what truly matters. For many Americans, that means sports. But how much time do sports fanatics actually dedicate to their favorite team over a lifetime? Whether it's watching games, attending matches, checking scores, or following players on social media, the time quickly adds up. According to our study, the average fan devotes 4.8 hours per week to their team. That's a staggering 624 days, or 1.71 years over a lifetime. Again, think about the work we could accomplish if many of us dedicated even half of this time to the church. And I'm not counting Sunday services. Crafting this service has led me to a change in perspective about Mardi Gras, as well as to a deeper understanding of why I love sports so much. But it has also made me realize that I should look at this church as I do a favored sports team. And though without a doubt I loved this church before I started this, I do not approach my connection here with the same level of intensity that I do the connection I have with LSU women's basketball or gymnastics. So from here on out, for me, and I hope for you, this is going to be Team UU. My team, our team, Let us join together and work collectively and individually to always make sure we have a winning season. Now, please stand as you are willing and able as we sing our final hymn, When the Saints Go Marching In.
Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, Lord, I want to be in that number. When the saints go marching in. Oh, when we all walk hand in hand. Oh, when we all walk hand in hand. Oh, Lord, I want to be in that number. When we all walk hand in hand. Oh, when the stars fall from the skies. Oh, when the stars fall from the sky. Oh, how I want to be in that number. When the stars fall from the sky. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Oh, how I long to be in that number. When the saints go marching in.
So, my friends, let us gather as individuals and join together in common purpose and freely and with great enthusiasm join our resources, our support, our love, so that we can drive this church forward and that the I will indeed become the we, and we will be strong and we will win. If you are going to New Orleans, please be safe, be joyful, and if you're going to the PMAC this afternoon, go Tigers! Amen.